Hello and welcome. In today's exciting episode, I make some pink dresses using this vintage Vogue pattern. It's perfect. Perfect jacket. So it's Pretty in Pink month and I'm trying to make up lots of different vintage dresses. And mainly sort of 1950s because of that dress in the movie. That one in the top right-hand corner is sort of more the end of last century, so 1980s, 1990s. But yeah, so the ones over here on the left side are the ones that are graded harder by the sewing companies, and the ones on the right here are graded as easy or very easy. So the bright one in the corner, the yellow one, and this one here that I call the Audrey dress, they're pretty similar patterns, and because I'm trying to do vintage things, I think I'll do the bottom one. But yeah, the top one just has a princess seam, so I consider that you can get a better fit with a princess seam, and it's got all the different bust sizes. So if you're larger than an A or a B, I definitely go that one. But yeah, I think because I'm trying to make vintage dresses, I'll use this one. And yeah, I think the illustration here is very deceiving because the pattern matching is absolutely perfect, which you cannot do if you've got darts that big in the front. So yeah, even with your pattern matching, I would fancy cutting your pattern. I would definitely go for that top one just because you get a better look. Whereas with darts, you never know how it's really hard to place around darts. Anyway, so I will use this pattern just because I'm trying to do 1950s dresses and the illustrations are so lovely. And I think I'll do the yellow one, except, yeah, I'm not going to cut my bodice into two pieces. I don't like a two-piece bodice. I'm going to do it one piece. So I think next week I'll do the flamenco one, and because I have to do a lot of fussy cutting for that, so I'll just put that aside for the moment. And this week I will use this ridiculously bright and bold, but it's in pastel colors, yeah, the actual design is so bold. So I'm going to do the bodice out of that, and then I'm going to do the skirt out of the rope, slightly more quiet rope design. And then I'm going to have a sort of a panel of a border of the bright floral at the bottom of the skirt. I know it sounds hideous, and just wait and see. It is. But yeah, I've decided that's what I'm going to do. But it might turn out horribly, so I'm also just going to make a plain pink dress. And that way at least I'll have one dress that turns out. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm pretty determined to pattern clash these two patterns. So yeah, I just want to experiment. So here is the pattern, and yeah, it says it's easy, but taking out the instructions and looking at the pattern pieces, they've made this as complicated as they possibly could. On dress A, the one that you can cut on the bias or diagonal, then they've got a self-facing, so the facing is drafted into the pieces, where in dress B they've got a separate facing. And yeah, I think if you were new to sewing, that would be incredibly confusing. So I've just changed the pattern a bit, and I've cut out the facing completely. So I'm just going to do a fully lined bodice, and yeah. And I'm also cutting it on the fold, so as one piece, because, yeah, I just have literally never seen a two-piece front of bodice that looks flattering. I just don't think it works. So, but I'm doing this pattern anyway, so, yeah. Okay, so I cut out the floral bodice, and I cut out the orange lining, and I cut out the plain pink bodice and the plain orange lining for that one. So now I've got to work out what I'm going to do with the skirts. With the pink one, so the skirt in the pattern is just, it's kind of 4 panels of this square piece. It's almost exactly a square. It's kind of a yard by a yard, or if you work in metric, it's 86 centimeters by 84 centimeters, and you have to cut out 4 of those. So yeah, I just thought, because I'm making 2 dresses and I'm trying to get this done so I can edit it all and get it out, I was like, well, or I could just do a strip of fabric that's 4 long and not cut it into 4 and then sew them back together. Like if they were a different shape, I'd sort of be tempted to cut them out. But yeah, since they're literally you're just cutting it out so you can sew them back together, I decided to leave the pink as is. And then with this one, I've got this rope fabric, and I could have cut it like, if I wanted the rope design to go horizontal, which I think looks much nicer, then I would have had to cut this fabric into 4 and sew it all together. And then I hand do all my seams, so that just would have taken so long. So I'm taking the lazy option, and I'm just going to have the rope go vertical, which, oh, it's hideous. Like, I'm looking at the dress now. It's not great, but it'll work. So yeah, so I leave the rope in 1 long strip as well, but I also just sew onto the bottom of that a panel of the bold floral. So you can see here I've machine sewn them together, and yeah. It's one hell of a dress. It's very eye-catching, but it'll work. It'll be fine. Just you have to believe. But yeah, from this point until right near the very end, this dress looks absolutely hideous. I mean, it's actually quite cute now, but wow, it had an ugly teenage sort of section there. Anyway, so now that I've sorted out the skirts, I put them aside, and it's time to do the bodices. So each bodice piece, so the front has 2 deep darts and the back has 2 sort of shallow darts in it. So I have to do all those. So I pinned them and measured them and everything, and then machine sewed them, tied them off, and then pressed them. And I did the same for the lining and the same for the pink outer and the orange lining of the second one. So once that was all done, the next thing to do is sew up the sides. And of course there's a side closure, so you have to leave most of the left side on each one. But obviously you have to do the opposite for the lining. And there was a drip of sewing machine oil on my table after I did like a mini service on my machine. So damn it, I have to wash that out. But yeah, so I did the sides, and I decided, because I'm doing 2 of dresses of the exact same size, I would and the exact same pattern, I'll do one with regular seams and one with slightly narrower seams. So that way, this one with the bold the pink one is the normal seams, and the dress with the floral bold floral print is going to be slightly roomier. So yeah, if I'm going to a party and I know I'm going to eat lots of yummy food, then I'll probably pick the bold floral print dress, because it's got, yeah, a little bit more room in it. So then the next thing, you have to press your side seams open. And yeah, I also just stitched along the armhole to make sure they stay open and flat, just until you put the 2 layers together. So the next thing is to do the neckline and the armhole bits. I don't know what to call it, because they do have a little bit of a sleeve, but not really. Anyway, so you have to sew the lining and the outer fabric together so for the V for the front, the V for the back of the neck, and around the armholes. And then I press them, and then you can trim them if you want, but I don't know. I'm not obsessed with trimming everything unless it absolutely needs it. But I did cut the notches just so that it can turn out properly. And then you have to press them so that the seams sit right. And then the next thing, you're supposed to top stitch, but I think top stitching can look really ugly. It can look pretty sometimes, but yeah, it's not my favorite. I don't like any visible machine stitches. So I'm going to hand stitch, understitch. But first of all, I'm going to do the shoulders, because you had to leave the shoulders undone so that you could actually turn through the piece. Each piece you sort of use the open shoulders to turn them through, but now that everything's turned through and the lining and the outer fabric are facing the correct way, the next thing is you sort of pin the outer fabric on the shoulders together, and you can machine sew that. And then, you have to hand sew the linings together because you can't get the machine to do that bit. So yeah, lots of hand sewing ensued. I had to, hand sew all of those. And that took me a while, but I think it looks really pretty. Wow, I took a lot of footage of this. I think I was just, it did take a lot of time to do all that stitching, hand stitching. But yeah, so now that the bodices were done, it's time to get back to those skirts. Oh, there's just so much fabric. So because each skirt worth of fabric was basically one big piece, all I had to do was one side seam, making sure I left enough room to put the zip in, or however you're doing your side closure. So I made sure I left room for that, but I did the rest of the seam. And then you're supposed to like do that machine sew a couple of lines of stitches and then gather them together, but it just would have been so incredibly bulky, and I don't know, it's sort of a hideous messy cloud. So instead I'm doing pleating, and the pink one just looks absolutely gorgeous. So I sort of did that thing where you divide it into 4 quadrants, and then you just keep dividing by half and get in all your pleats that way. But there were still too many pleats, so I did every second pleat I turned into a box pleat, and then I did that and went the whole way around the skirt, and then I went round again and did a second layer of box pleats. So yeah, it's actually 2 layers of box pleats, and that's how I got compacted all that fabric down. So the I think with the picture you're supposed to, it looks like they turned the waist seam downwards so that the skirt sort of fluffs out right at the hip, and yeah, I think that would be a mistake. So I turned mine upwards, and then I was also able to hide it within the bodice lining. So yeah, I just turned the hem of the bodice lining up too, and I hand stitched that down. Before I did that, I actually stitched the waist seam allowance to the bodice. So and this is me just trying it on. So that multi-print dress looks hideous for so long. It just ignore the ugly sister at the side there. And I just put the green one there because I love it's only half done, but I love the way the print is horizontal. I just think it looks so pretty. And because I was trying to work out why I hate this rope dress so much, and I think it's because I love the other vine one so much. So yeah, it made me hate this dress slightly less. And because I was just going to abandon it, because since I started this, because there's so much hand sewing, this is a sage dress. I'm not sure why I filmed this. This has really got nothing to do with the dress I'm making. But yeah, see, as you can see, they're horizontal. And you would think that would make it look horrible, but it's actually really cute and unusual. And yeah, but when you have these two dresses in your same sewing room, wow, it just makes this rope one look more hideous. But yeah, so now I'm trying the pink one on with different jackets because yeah, I like it with this. I'm just trying to work out what length to make the skirt of the dress, and because I really like long skirts, but I think this dress, yeah, I do have to turn up the hem. So I'm going to turn it up like 4 inches or 5 inches or 6 inches, and then do it twice so that the skirt sort of sits out really beautifully, the hem of it. And yeah, with the other one, with the rope one, I'm just going to ruche it up because, yeah, otherwise I have to cut it and then re-sew it. And I was like, or I could ruche it up. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do with that one. And it's just, yeah. And then because, yeah, I just felt like it was the contrast between the two fabrics was too jarring. So I'm also going to hand stitch on a couple of autumn leaves from, I was going to make this autumn floral jacket. So I bought all these autumn leaves. So yeah, I'm just going to but there's like a packet of 50 or something. So I'm just going to take 5 or 6 of those and use them in that. And this one, yeah, I don't like the bodice of this one. I love the skirt of it. I absolutely love it. There's something, I don't know what it is. I think it's just, I feel like the skirt is, and I feel like parts of it are very Balenciaga and other parts are trying to be, I don't know, Givenchy or Dior. I don't know. It just feels like it's trying to be two different things. And yeah, I feel like you're supposed to put a sash with it, or a cummerbund, but it's so bulky. So I think I'll make a contrasting sash. I do like that I've used orange lining. So yeah, I might make a contrasting sash. This is from a different dress. Okay, break time is over, and all these pastel colors together with that sort of hit of yellow, these just look so cute together. I'm just going to have the most adorable wardrobe. I'm thinking I'll have like a beige, a neutral section with beige, black and white and navy, and then I'll have a pastel section, and then I'll have a bright color section. Anyway, so back to these dresses. I'm going to ruche this skirt because I just think that's hilarious, but also fun. And I mean, what else can you do with this disaster? I love her, but oh my gosh, she's going through an awkward phase. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do with that. And then I'm going to hand sew a couple of leaves onto it. And I'll just each time, and I'm not going to make it dry clean only. I'm just going to, each time I want to wash it, I'll just stitch those few hand stitches, take the leaves off, wash the dress, press it, and then stitch them back on. It's not going to be any big deal. And then with the pink one, I'm just going to do the folds, then double fold the hemline of that one. Okay, so I'm ruching the Ugly Duckling / Drama Queen dress, and well, there's just a massive amount of fabric that has to be eaten up some way. So you could do a couple of things. You could sort of make flaps, and so that they're like tiers, and you just, sew along all of that, and then it sort of flops down and it's a tier, and you could do that a couple of times to eat up the vast amount of fabric. But it has just occurred to me that there are some people watching this who haven't seen the movie Pretty in Pink or haven't seen it in a long time. I will explain what the hell I'm doing. So Andy, this is her. She's the main character, and she starts going out with this guy, and he dumps her because his friend tells him to dump her. And then she decides to go to the prom by herself, but she doesn't have money for a dress. And this is her friend Leona. Leona has a dress, and she sort of wears quirky clothing. So to her high school prom, which I don't think she ever actually made it to, she wore this 1950s vintage dress, and it's got these big sort of ruffle sort of poofs or all this excess fabric on it, and Andy pulls it apart and she makes herself a dress out of it. So yeah, that's why in this one I've got all this excess fabric. So now let's get back to my drama queen dress and my ruching. So it's just gathering, but it's vertical rather than horizontal. And yeah, so I just sort of hand sew up and collect everything, and then do a couple of stitches, then hand sew back down so it's got extra strength, and then tie it off. And this is what it looks like. It's gorgeous. It's like a wedding cake. And yeah, obviously I have to do the hem, and once the hem is done it will give it enough weight to sit properly, for the bottom to sit properly. But yeah, oh my gosh, I'm so happy with this. I mean, the amount of time this has taken, honestly. But yeah, okay, I'm just going to do the last few things on this, then I will finish off the pink one as well. So I finish off the brightly coloured wedding cake of a dress, and now I'm just finishing off the pink one. And I've done the zip on the colourful one with the floral bodice, but I was just so over it. I haven't done the pink one yet, so I'll do that tomorrow. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way that they turned out. Actually, the pink one is the slightly smaller one because it's got the standard seams, whereas the other one I made it so that yeah, it's a bit roomier. So I was worried that if I did the pink one, I might bust the zip trying to fit it on the mannequin. But yeah, so also I'm a bit tired. As if you can't tell. But yeah, so they're sort of finished, and well, they are. That one, the fluoro, not fluoro, but the colourful one is finished. The more state one is not quite finished. But yeah, I love that one. I think that's the one I will wear a lot, whereas the other one, it's a little bit special, and here they are from the side. And yeah, so I haven't done the closure yet, but oh, I love that orange lining. It's just going to make me smile each time I put it on. And yeah, so happy with it. But this pattern, this pattern is sort of a little bit of a disappointment. I can't decide whether I want to put the autumn leaves on or not. I haven't stitched them on. They're just pinned at the moment. So yeah, here's the pattern. And I saw on the website Something Delightful, where you buy them from, that they also did a photo shoot of this dress. And oh, they gave her a basket and added some flowers and a cardigan and some sunglasses. I was like, oh, when they give someone props, it's never a good sign. So yeah, I think they knew there were problems with this pattern. But yeah, as I was making this, because there was so much hand sewing, I watched a few YouTube videos, and yeah, so many social media sewers have sort of started this and abandoned it. So I just thought yeah, I can see why. It's just that the illustrations are so lovely, and then you make it and it's like, no, that's not what they're like. Yeah, it's I mean, it's a nice enough pattern, but I just think there's too many sort of glitches. I'm looking forward to trying that Sophia one, that one on the end. But I think if you were looking for something that with a larger B or a C cup, then that very easy Vogue one would work. But this one here, I'm going to try this one, because I think the bodice of this one with the grown on sleeves, the dolman sleeves, I think what I'm wanting from the pattern I just did, I might get from this one. It's got a pencil skirt, but I think if I replaced it with a big full skirt, and yeah, I think I might get what I want, because I just want something that looks really Audrey Hepburn with a big full skirt. And I think, yeah, if I did the bodice of this one with the full skirt of the one I've just done, I think that will look really good. I'm also really glad that I modified the pattern so that it's got, and the bodice is fully lined. I think if it had just been sort of facing, I'd had to deal with facing or bias tape or something like that, then I just would have given up, because it would have just been crappy quality, crappy finish. And yeah, but yeah, I think the fact that I was doing a fully lined bodice made me keep going at some point. So I was like, oh God, can I just give up? But yeah, I'm really happy with the dresses that I've made. But oh, the pattern, considering how gorgeous, utterly gorgeous those illustrations are. I think the overall the pattern is a little bit of a disappointment. I do love the way mine turned out. I think they're adorable, and I do think that, bringing this right back around to Pretty in Pink, the movie, I do think that if someone finds these dresses in a charity store, a thrift store or something in 2 or 3 decades, and, you know, they've got a prom to go to and they don't have a dress, or a party to go to and they don't have a dress, then there are yards and yards of fabric hidden within these dresses. And yeah, they'll have loads of fabric, enough to make themselves a gorgeous dress, even if they don't like the one that they've buying. So yeah, so a tick in that box. I did achieve something vaguely movie related. So yeah, now I have to think about, so that's it for this video, and thank you for watching. And yeah, I'll put that zip in tomorrow, and or maybe I'll wait a couple of days. Kind of over the pinkness of it all. But yeah, and then I think I'll put off the flamingo one for a while, because I'm a little bit over this pattern. I mean, it's gorgeous, but yeah, it's just so disappointing. But yeah, I think, yeah, I'll try that other pattern that I showed you with the pencil skirt, but I'll put a big full skirt on it. And yeah, I think that bodice will be a better fit for what I'm looking for. But next, I think I'll do the Rita one, this one on the left, the yellow one. I think I'll do that one next, maybe, because I love those big pockets. They're just sort of superficial pockets for the look. I don't really use pockets. I prefer to I saved up all my pennies to buy the few designer handbags I have, so I tend to carry a handbag rather than use pockets, because I don't like to wreck the line of what I'm wearing anyway. But yeah, I still love those pockets. I think they're fabulous. So yeah, I think I might do that one next. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and yeah, go make fabulous pink dresses.